Hi, welcome back to Paul's Stuff. It's my space on YouTube where I talk about all the things I love. Lots of Star Wars, lots of lightsabers, and today is another lightsaber video. It's a requested video. It's a video on this particular lightsaber. This is a lightsaber from Padawan Outpost. It's currently known as the Obi-Wan E1. When I bought it a year ago, it was called the OWK Phantom. In the next part of the video, I refer to it as the OWK TPM, but that's wrong. It was the OWK Phantom. So please don't get confused by that. That's just me mixing up names. So I had a request specifically to look at how you disassemble and reassemble this lightsaber, so that you can get at the core. You can then access the battery, the SD card, the board, the speaker, all of those sort of things. Because when you look at this saber, it's not immediately apparent how the core comes out. And you do have to do some disassembly to be able to get at the core. In fact, you almost have to completely disassemble this lightsaber to do that. You'll see in the next part of the video as well, I take off the pommel and the emitter section. You can actually take the core out by just removing one or the other. It doesn't matter which that you take off. If you are going to just take off one, I suggest the pommel, because that doesn't need so much indexing. If you take off the emitter section only, then you may find that you've got to adjust the pommel anyway, because to get it to line up and all lock into place, you'll see in the video. But in the video, I take the whole thing apart. So I take off the pommel and the emitter section, as well as the rest of the saber. So let's not hold you up. Let's get onto that video, and you can have a look and see how this disassembles and reassembles. Okay, so we're going to have a look at disassembling and reassembling this lightsaber. When I bought this a year ago, it was the OWK TPM. I believe the name now on Padawan Outpost website has been changed so that it's now called the Obi-Wan E1, or the Obi-Wan Kenobi E1. Same lightsaber essentially. So yeah, today we're going to take a look at taking this apart, putting it back together. So the only tool you'll need is the small Allen key that comes with the saber. I'm using an equivalent, which is a 2mm Allen key, or Allen hex head screwdriver. It's not immediately apparent how this comes apart, so we'll run through how to take it to pieces. So first of all, we're going to take off the cover tech wheel. Then we're going to unscrew either the pommel or the emitter. Doesn't matter which. I'm going to take off the pommel first. Or you could just as easily take off the emitter section first. So it doesn't make any difference which of those you do first. I have a charge port cover in here, so this is just a USB charge port cover for mobile phones and things. I find these from Amazon. If you do a search on Amazon, they'll come up with lots of different ones. So once we've got it to this stage, we can see the core now at either end, and we can just slide off this silver sleeve. once we've done that, we've got the main body, if you like, of the hilt, and we can see the buttons here. If we turn it over from the buttons, what we'll now see also is two small screws here. This bottom one retains the core in the body of the Saber, and the top one pushes the buttons down through the core and sets their height so that they're at the right height, and they've got something that they're not going to push back through into the core. So we're going to take the top screw out first. This is the screw for the button depth, and as we'll see, that's a long 2mm hex head screw. We're going to take the second button out. Now this button may have changed in later models. This screw rather may have changed in later models. As you can see, the one in mine, which is an early model, has a small button head self-tapping screw. That may have changed for a shorter version of the button screw. It'll look like a blade retention screw. You just take that out. With the self-tapping screw, it actually screws into the core. With the button head one, with the newer version with the screw that looks like a blade retention screw, that just pushes on the core. So now we've got to turn the Saber back over, and we're just going to push the button down into the core. So you can't pull the core out with the button up because it's in its holes in the main body of the Saber. So you have to push the button down in. Once you've done that, the core will just slide out from the main body. This is what the core looks like. We have a button and charging port that are now recessed into the core. We have a circuit board. In this case, this has got a Xeno 3 board in it. You can see the SD card is there, so we can access that now. We have a emitter connector pins at this end, speaker at the other end, and on the other side we have our battery. So you can access all of those now. If you want to take the core apart, you take this screw and this screw out. You may want to do that for things like changing the speaker. This has a Smuggler's Outpost 24mm Elite speaker in it. Things like changing the speaker, changing the board, you'll need to take it apart. But other than that, you shouldn't need to ever take your core apart. So that's what the core looks like. And what we're going to do now, we're going to pop this back together. So what we're going to do, it's basically the reverse of taking it apart. So we're going to pop the core in and make sure that our button and charge port line up with their holes. And we're going to turn it over. We're going to start with the screw for the buttons, and when it's in the right position, you should find it screws in easily. If it doesn't, then you need to reposition the core, as I've just been doing, and as you tighten it, we should see the button and the charge port come back up into their position. You don't want to over tighten it. Once they're kind of where they need to be, or they stop moving, stop tightening it. We can then pop in our bottom button. So if it has the self-tapping screw like this one, you pop it in until it just tightens. You don't want to over tighten it, because again you will strip the plastic of the core and the screw won't work. If you have the screw that looks more like a blade retention screw, just screw that down until it starts to have more resistance, and that's it. You don't need to over tighten that either. So we're now back at this stage where the core is back into its main sleeve. We're going to pop the emitter on first, and we're going to tighten that down. And you'll see if you tighten it right down, it may be that the buttons here don't line up with this button. So just back it off a little bit. That's absolutely fine. It will feel a little bit loose, but that's absolutely fine. You'll find out why in a moment. The main thing is to have this little indent here lined up with the buttons and the charge port. So we're going to make sure that's in the right place. Then I'm going to take our sleeve, making sure that this cutout is at the top where the button is. Only goes on the one way round. And we're going to line that up with our charge port and make sure that it sits nice and central in there. And we're going to take our pommel and we're going to screw our pommel down tight. What screwing that down tight does, it pushes the sleeve up against the emitter section, and you'll find that that is now much more solid. Okay, the only thing you need to do while you're doing that tightening of the pommel is to make sure that everything lines up and is in the right place. If it's not, just back the pommel off and line everything back up again. I'm going to pop my charge port cover back in. And now all that's left to do is to pop our Kyberphonic wheel back on. And that's it, all back together. So that's disassembly and reassembly of what used to be known as the OWK TPM, and now is known as the Obi-Wan E1 from Padawan Outpost. It may be known by other names from other retailers. It is a Nexus Saber, but that's how to disassemble it and reassemble it. Okay, so there we are. That's a quick video on how to disassemble and reassemble the Obi-Wan E1, as it's now known, or as it used to be known, the OWK Phantom from Padawan Outpost. I hope you found that video useful. As I say, it was requested, so if you have things that you'd like to see me doing, then please do put comments in the comment section. I do try and read them all. I do try and reply to them all. If there's something specific that you want to see, ask down in that section and I'll see what I can do. I won't promise that I will do everything, but I will have a look at your suggestions and see what I can do with them. Okay, so that's it for now. If you have liked the video, if you found it useful, then give it a like. That's the thumbs up button. If you're not already a subscriber to the channel, then please consider subscribing to the channel as well. I think this weekend we broke 400 members, which is 400 subscribers, which is brilliant. I'm not chasing subscribers. I'm not interested in, you know, kind of building the channel in that way particularly. I want the channel to be a helpful channel. I want the channel to be a place where people can come and get information on what they're looking to do, or information on particular items. So great if you are subscribing to the channel. If you haven't already, then you can consider that. But for now, that's all for this video on how to disassemble and reassemble this lightsaber. So all that leaves me to do now is to say cheerio.